In the 11th century, England was a kingdom undergoing dramatic change. The Anglo-Saxon era had come to an end with the Norman conquest when William the Conqueror defeated King Harold Godwinson at the Battle of Hastings. This victory established Norman rule over England, bringing a new aristocracy and a deep transformation of English society. However, it also introduced a period of instability that would continue for generations. When William the Conqueror died in 1087, he divided his vast territories between his sons. His eldest son, Robert Curthose, inherited Normandy, while his second son, William Rufus, became King of England. But William Rufus's reign was marked by conflict. His sudden death in 1100, allegedly the result of a hunting accident in the New Forest, created a power vacuum. The circumstances surrounding his death were suspicious, and some believed it was an assassination. Regardless, his younger brother Henry seized the throne before Robert could return from Normandy to stake his claim. To secure his position, he moved quickly to consolidate power, imprisoning his brother Robert and taking control of Normandy. Like any medieval king, Henry understood that securing his dynasty depended on producing a male heir. He married Matilda of Scotland, a descendant of the old Anglo-Saxon royal family, to unite the Norman and Saxon bloodlines. Their union produced a son, William Adelin, whom Henry carefully groomed to inherit both England and Normandy. In 1120, disaster struck. William Adelin, along with many Norman nobles, boarded the White Ship for a routine crossing of the English Channel. What should have been a simple journey turned into catastrophe when the vessel struck a rock and sank. Nearly everyone on board drowned, including the young prince. With his only legitimate son dead, Henry faced a crisis with no clear solution. He had spent decades securing his rule and preparing for a smooth succession. With no other male heir, Henry made an unprecedented decision. He declared his only daughter Matilda his heir and forced his barons to swear an oath recognizing her as the future ruler of England. What followed was nearly 2 decades of civil war, a brutal and chaotic struggle for power that would come to be known as the Anarchy. Matilda was born on February 7, 1102 in Winchester, England, as the eldest child of King Henry I and Queen Matilda of Scotland. From the moment of her birth, she was a princess of both Norman and Anglo-Saxon heritage. Her mother, Matilda of Scotland, was the daughter of King Malcolm III of Scotland and St. Margaret of Wessex, a descendant of the old Anglo-Saxon royal line. This connection to the pre-Norman English monarchy was an important political tool for Henry, as it helped to unite his Norman rule with the native English population. Despite being a princess, Matilda's early years were not marked by the kind of affection or indulgence often associated with royal children. In the medieval world, daughters of kings were primarily seen as political assets, valuable in securing alliances through marriage. From a young age, Matilda had been raised under strict court discipline, learning the skills expected of a noblewoman, diplomacy, and religious devotion. However, as the daughter of one of the most powerful kings in Europe, she also received an education that went beyond the traditional expectations for a medieval princess. Henry ensured that Matilda was well educated, likely providing her with instruction in Latin, the language of diplomacy, and exposing her to the complexities of court politics. Matilda spent much of her early childhood in the English royal court, surrounded by powerful nobles, clerics, and advisors, and as the firstborn child, she would have enjoyed a privileged position. However, her status as Henry's heir was never truly considered. After all, medieval England had never been ruled by a woman. The focus remained on her younger brother, William Adelin, who was born in 1103. As the male heir, William was the central figure in Henry's plans for succession, while Matilda was destined to be used as a diplomatic tool to secure the kingdom's interests abroad. That opportunity came sooner than expected. In 1108, when Matilda was just 6 years old, negotiations began for her to marry Henry V, the Holy Roman Emperor. The match was an ambitious one. The Holy Roman Empire was one of the most powerful states in Europe, stretching from Germany to northern Italy. In 1110, at the age of 8, Matilda was sent to Germany to begin her formal betrothal. Though still a child, she was treated as the future empress and immersed in the culture and governance of the empire. 2 years later, in 1114 at the age of 12, she was officially married to Emperor Henry V in a grand ceremony. Despite her young age, she was expected to take on the role of empress, assisting in court affairs and learning the intricacies of ruling an empire. It was in Germany that Matilda honed her skills in governance, diplomacy, and negotiation, skills that would later prove invaluable when she fought for the English throne. For nearly a decade, Matilda lived as Empress of the Holy Roman Empire, growing into a formidable woman, but her life was about to take another dramatic turn. In 1125, her husband, Henry V, died unexpectedly, leaving her a widow at just 23 years old. Suddenly, her future was uncertain. Though she still held the title of Empress, her position in the empire was no longer secure. She had no children to claim the imperial throne, and without a husband, her role in Germany was limited. With no other choice, Matilda returned to England. By 1120, King Henry's rule over England and Normandy was firmly established. His administrative reforms had strengthened the monarchy, and he had spent years securing his dynasty. His only legitimate son, William Adelin, was central to these plans. Henry had made his nobles swear loyalty to William, ensuring that his succession would be undisputed. But on November 25, 1120, disaster struck. The White Ship, a grand vessel carrying William Adelin and several high-ranking Norman nobles, set sail from Barfleur, Normandy, to England. As the ship departed at night, it struck a submerged rock not far from the harbor. Panic ensued, and within minutes the ship capsized. Nearly all aboard perished, including William Adelin. When news of the disaster reached Henry, he was devastated. His only male heir was gone, and with him the stability of Henry's legacy. Without a clear male successor, England and Normandy faced uncertainty. A kingdom without an undisputed heir invited civil war, noble rebellion, and foreign intervention. Henry needed to act swiftly to secure the succession. With William Adelin gone, Henry had no surviving legitimate son. Though he had numerous illegitimate children, they could not inherit the throne. Left with no other choice, he turned to his daughter Matilda, the only legitimate heir remaining. However, a woman ruling England was unprecedented. Henry had no illusions about the resistance Matilda would face, but he had to ensure his dynasty survived. In 1126, Henry summoned his barons and nobles to court and made them swear an oath recognizing Matilda as his heir. Henry knew that securing Matilda's claim required more than just an oath. She needed a husband who could provide military support and strengthen her position. In 1128, he arranged for her to marry Geoffrey of Anjou, a powerful nobleman from a strategic region in France. Geoffrey Plantagenet was the Count of Anjou, a territory that bordered Normandy. Though this alliance strengthened Henry's hold on Normandy, it was not without problems. Matilda and Geoffrey had a strained relationship from the start. She, a former empress, saw herself as superior in status, while Geoffrey, 10 years younger than her, expected a more traditional marriage dynamic. Despite their differences, their union was politically necessary. In 1133, Matilda gave birth to a son, Henry, securing a future male heir for the dynasty. A second son, Geoffrey, followed in 1134. Henry I now had a grandson, and the continuation of his bloodline seemed assured. However, tensions between Matilda and Geoffrey persisted, and at times she remained separate from him in Normandy. In late 1135, King Henry I fell seriously ill while in Normandy. According to chroniclers, he suffered from food poisoning after eating a meal of lampreys. His condition worsened quickly, and by December 1, 1135, the king was dead. His passing marked the end of nearly 35 years of rule, but instead of a peaceful transition, it plunged England into uncertainty. At the time of Henry's death, Matilda was in Normandy, possibly at her husband's court in Anjou. Her absence from England at such a critical moment was a severe disadvantage. She had expected the nobles to honor their oath and recognize her as queen, but many of them had never truly supported her claim. Her gender, combined with her marriage to a foreign count, made her an unpopular choice among the English barons. Seizing the opportunity, Matilda's cousin Stephen of Blois acted swiftly. Stephen, a grandson of William the Conqueror, had been one of the nobles who swore loyalty to Matilda, but with Henry gone, he saw his chance. While Matilda remained in Normandy, Stephen crossed the English Channel and rode to London. With the backing of the church and key nobles, he had himself crowned King of England before Matilda could respond. The oaths sworn to Matilda were broken. Stephen now sat on the throne, and England belonged to him. But Matilda would not accept this betrayal. The kingdom was about to descend into the anarchy. Soon, England stood on the brink of collapse as rival factions prepared for war. England was no longer a united kingdom. It was a battleground. For nearly 2 decades, the war for the throne would rage, engulfing the realm in chaos, bloodshed, and uncertainty.